Hi there, welcome once again to Weight Wisdom. Today I'd like to have a look at fussy eating in children and explore this neophobia. One of the things that can often occur in families is that people feel their children are fussy eaters and they struggle then to introduce healthy food because the child will reject them. And this is a big problem that's regularly reported to us on our programmes. What happens is children are brought into this world with a preference for sweet flavours and an aversion for sour or bitter tastes. And this makes perfect evolutionary sense because toxins can often come with bitter or sour flavours, and safe foods often are sweet with the sugars associated with them, such as those in breast milk. So this encourages the infant to adopt breast milk, but to reject things that they may put in their mouth that are bitter or sour. Further to this, at the age of about 12 months, a child now is starting to crawl, they're toddling, they're exploring, and this is a particularly dangerous time for children because they can start putting things in their mouth and swallowing things that might have flavours or tastes that could signify toxins or dangers. So children go through this process at around about 12 months of neophobia. Neo, new, phobia, an irrational fear of new foods in this instance. I'd like to just expand on this a little more, giving you the example of our own instance of our first child. So when our first child was born, we weaned her, we breastfed her until the point she was weaned at about 6 months, and at this stage we decided we were going to feed her what we ate. So we were not going to buy the child jars of food, whatever it was. We would just mash it what we ate, feed her. This went swimmingly well. So fish pie, mashed oats, she would eat it. Chickpea curry, mashed oats, she would eat. Whatever we ate, she would eat. Then, and I remember thinking, what's the big fuss here about this weaning? It seems like a piece of cake to me. But then at around about 12 months, we'd introduce the food, she would spit it out. Shock, horror. Try something else. Try another food that she regularly would eat. In it went, out it came. I thought, this is payback. And this continued, and it got worse and worse, and her food preferences became narrower and narrower and narrower, till eventually she was only eating the foods that she wanted to eat. And this would be foods that were very, very bland, beige, breads, plain foods, sweet foods, anything, any bitterness at all would be rejected, spat out, and we would have no hope of getting her to eat that. So this was neophobia in action, and this is her way of keeping herself safe. It's not about her being fussy, it's not about her being demanding, it's something that's programmed in her. Some children will display this much more avidly than others, and our daughter certainly did that. But we knew what this was, and we knew that we had to come through this, so we worked very hard, and it took until she was about 3.5 years old before we could finally start to reintroduce some of the foods that we wanted her to eat. And this is because they start then to learn and be socialized by food. So they look at what parents and people around them are eating, and they look to see and find cues on what to eat from those visual cues around them and those social cues, and they don't rely as much on their innate preference for sweet, sour, bitter, whatever. So we continue the introduction of new foods a little at a time, and at around about 3.5 years old, she became more accepting, and we worked on this, and eventually her embracing of new foods expanded and expanded until we felt we got her to a point where then she was eating a very balanced diet. So it's a long process, but what happens with children, and you can see this very clearly at this young age, 12 months when neophobia starts. So in the child, you can see this chaotic world that they're born into, where they have zero control over anything. When they sleep, when they wake, what they wear, when they're changed, when they go out, they have no control. But they learn very, very quickly that they have control over one thing, and that is what they eat. And they learn also very quickly the power that comes with that control. And if they are allowed to wield that power, they will wield it with devastating effects. And the irony of this is that the effects will be on themselves in terms of their health and their development in future years. So it's very important that parents don't fall into the trap of interpreting neophobia as my child is a fussy eater. Many children are fussy eaters at this stage because of neophobia and the purpose of it. But it's important that parents bring them out of that by trying very hard and working and continually repeating the process of presenting the foods that you want to eat. And primarily this is vegetables, because vegetables have the bitterest or the sourest effect often. And so keep representing these, keep trying new ones and familiarising them, being good role models, showing examples yourself that you're eating them, thus socialising the child into eating these foods as well. So I hope this has helped to understand a little bit about why children are very selective about the foods that they eat. And in the next part, on this two-part series, we're going to look at some ways of dealing with children who are already food fussy. And what can we do and how can we help them? And we have quite a few good ideas on making sure that those children can come back into the realms of having a wide and balanced diet and thus giving themselves the best opportunities for a healthy weight and a healthy life in the future. So I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in part 2 very soon. Thank you very much.